Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Odin's movie vlog. I am the critic who is a cynic. Hope we're doing well, and today we've actually got a series of rumors, all of which dealing with the potential future of the DCEU. And I would say some of these things are pretty exciting, could be interesting to see happen, and some of these are ones that we've already heard about before, but we've seemed to be getting a little bit more clarification. Now, once again, all three of these are definitely in that rumor territory, so make sure you take it with a grain of salt. I really wish we had movie news to be covering right now, but because of everything still pretty much being on lockdown, some productions have indeed started back up, but many have not. And of course, when it comes to the future of the DCEU, a lot of that is up in the air, and personally, I believe a lot of it is going to depend on the success or failure of HBO Max subscriptions, especially in 2021 with the hashtag release of Snyder Cut. But the first of these DCEU rumors happens to deal with that very Snyder Cut, because there is a rumor apparently going around now that Ryan Reynolds is actually in talks to show up as a cameo as the Green Lantern in this cut of the movie. Now, is this going to happen? Do I think this is likely going to happen? No, not personally. I feel that Ryan Reynolds has likely wanted to move on from that role and from that portrayal. But having said that, if any actor would be willing to come back to a role that would be for probably mostly comedic value, it probably would be Ryan Reynolds. Though, of course, he is definitely much more suited for his newest role in what was once the Fox property of Deadpool, now, of course, owned by Disney. So who knows? Maybe that actually puts him in a better position to come back to the role of the Green Lantern, seeing that Disney doesn't know what the hell they're doing with the next Deadpool movie, because obviously Disney does not know how to handle R-rated content. But let's go ahead and dive into this rumor from JB Augustin over at our friends at Bounding Into Comics. Warner Brothers holds onto anything from its DC cinematic past as long as it can wring a little out of it, whatever is left. They're willing to even if the thing in question isn't looked upon as any good. And that thing this time is Ryan Reynolds' portrayal of Green Lantern in 2011. Scooper and YouTuber Grace Randolph, so again, giant grain of salt here, heard from two sources that Reynolds is in negotiations to cameo in Zack Snyder's Justice League as Sector 2814's Emerald Guardian. Randolph tweeted, "I can confirm the Snyder Cut cameo I've been teasing is indeed Ryan Reynolds as Green Lantern." Again, Grace Randolph has said a lot of things in the past, and many of them have not turned out to be true. So again, we can take these so-called sources with a grain of salt. Whenever you deal with sources, sometimes the sources either give false information, sometimes they're given false information, so that way the studio can find out who the people leaking information are. And so that's why, of course, we always take these things as such. He says, "It's Snyder, of course, it will." Apparently talking there about whether it would suit whether the character, rather, of the Green Lantern, of Ryan Reynolds' Green Lantern, would actually fit and suit the Snyder Cut of the film. Now, I personally don't really see how it would fit, because, you know, when you look back to that 2011 Green Lantern film, it was just god-awful and terrible and campy, and that really isn't the direction that Zack Snyder has taken his DCEU films before. So in my opinion, it would be kind of a clash of stylings, and so I really don't know if it would work. So that's why it's interesting that, you know, with Grace Randolph saying that and Ken saying that the suit would look better. Yeah, you say that too, and yet also I remember there's being a lot of CGI in a lot of the DCEU that Snyder did, where the CGI just did not look that good at all. But there, of course, is Ryan Reynolds being a badass, and Ryan Reynolds is someone that I could see totally being up for pretty much anything at this point in time, just because of the way he is. He's pretty much a geek, and it's really great to see that happen. So if he were to be into the Snyder Cut, even if it were for a small cameo role, I know that I personally wouldn't be against it. I just don't know if the overall style of the character that it originally was meant for would actually, one, match with what we were getting with the DCU under Snyder, but also whether or not he would even be wanting to come back to the part. The other bit of rumor news is the fact that Ezra Miller's status as the Flash is still in question, and why Michael Keaton's Batman returns. So once again, from JB Augustin here, and this is something that a lot of us have been speculating on and asking questions about for a while now. Again, is Ezra Miller still in The Flash? And this really all comes down to the fact that, once again, the DCEU is in kind of shambles right now, where, again, they don't really know exactly where they're going. We have, of course, the Justice League that's getting recut. But when it comes to brand new films, the most recent thing that we got was Birds of Prey, which was total crap and lost money at the box office. And a lot of the future projects that have been, said, oh yeah, we're working on these, have either had dates shifted constantly or we really don't have much more information on. Obviously, we have Wonder Woman 1984 to look forward to, but that's pretty much all that we have now at this point. Flashpoint, featuring the Flash and featuring what was supposed to be Ezra Miller's Flash, was supposed to be that jumping off point of, okay, now we're restarting things, now we're getting things back into gear. Which, of course, ties into that rumor news that I mentioned just the other day about them potentially trying to bring Michael Keaton back as Batman, because, of course, you'd be able to play around with that multiverse. But Ezra Miller's status is very much still up in the air. So here we go right now. It says, Ezra Miller may be in doubt for the Flash, as he was in the video choking a fan in Iceland and forcing her to the ground, and that went viral. Yes, I remember this very footage, and, most other people would have been canceled immediately, but there's of course a lot of rumor speculation that he's a part of the alphabet community, and we all know that depending on your victimhood status, that could easily determine whether or not you get a pass on certain things like this or not. Again, this is just the fact of life. This is just, how things work in the world, and especially in the world of Hollywood. And so if anyone could survive that, it would be Ezra Miller based on that status alone. YouTube's resident scooper, Grace Randolph, once again counters the conclusion made by most reports that Miller is staying attached with Michael Keaton, possibly coming aboard to reprise as Batman. She called Miller a big stumbling block. Randolph said, we will see if they keep Ezra Miller. The jury apparently is still out on that, but Ezra is a big stumbling block. So once again, the rumor territory coming from her sources, coming from Randolph's sources, that there has not been a decision made on the matter, and that he very well could be replaced, and that he's a stumbling block, and so who knows exactly what is going to end up happening. I know that a lot of people that are fans of the DCEU, that are fans of the work of Zack Snyder, one of the biggest criticisms that they've been having of that is Ezra Miller's casting, that he does not fit the role very well, that they find him annoying, that they don't really think he fits the character at all, and so this could be a good opportunity, especially if you play along the Flashpoint storyline, to be able to replace him in some form or fashion, but the jury apparently still remains out. At least that, of course, is the rumor. But tying into that rumor again of Michael Keaton's Batman returning is another rumor once again. Rumor territory, rumors galore. And that not only is Michael Keaton in talks to be in the Flashpoint movie, but also apparently he could be in one beyond that. And there you could see Batman Beyond could be that film. Now, of course, that's something that I speculated on in my video covering the rumor initially of him being in talks to come on as Batman once again. But this one just makes a lot more logical sense, right? You have Michael Keaton, you have him willing to possibly put back on the cape and the cowl, or at the very least, take on the mantle of Bruce Wayne. You might as well try and get him in as many movies as you possibly can, whether that be as Old Man Bruce, playing alongside the character to be able to do a Batman Beyond-like storyline, or simply being the guy that's in a more metallic suit, or the one who is sending out robotic versions of Batman to look over the city as he sits back looking at a giant screen, patrolling, making sure crime stays under control. So again, you could definitely have that storyline, and that would definitely work. But it would be really nice if a lot of these rumors could be a little bit more confirmed, because Lord knows I have so many things that I would like to look forward to beyond just the rumor territory. But as it says here, Michael Keaton, as strange as it sounds, is reportedly having discussions with Warner Brothers about returning as Batman. That may not be the end of the story, though. A news scoop from The Fly in the Ointment, Mikey Sutton, that's a great way, suggests more roles could be on the table, including one Keaton was rumored for not too long ago, and many want to see him in as old Bruce Wayne in a Batman Beyond movie. Sutton's scoop begins by explaining interest in Batman Beyond was insufficient, but got the ball rolling when the Hollywood trades revealed that Michael Keaton was in talks to reprise his role as Bruce Wayne in the upcoming Flash theatrical film, and possibly other roles in the DCEU. It wasn't the first time that he has been discussed to return. A live-action Batman Beyond was considered before, but Warner Brothers felt there wasn't sufficient interest to them to green-light the project. That has changed with AT&T, who sees the IP as ripe for 90s nostalgia, which is about to hit full bloom in the near future. Not only that, but it's yet another way of expanding their hugely successful Dark Knight properties, especially on the content-hungry HBO Max. And I think this is a very good point and makes a strong connection to the reason that I think all of these rumors are being driven. And it's the fact that AT&T sees the dollar signs there, right? We all know right now that the executives running Warner Brothers, they don't like the state of the MCU, or rather, they don't like the state of the DCEU. They don't like Zack Snyder. They're not a fan of his work. The reports were they hated the Snyder Cut, but the AT&T executives loved it. And the reason why they love it is not necessarily because they were fond of the choices, but because they saw the cut and said, ooh, fans are actually going to really like this cut. We can make money off of that. Let's go ahead and run with it. At least that's my assumption. If AT&T then is in that mindset of let's do something for the fans, let's give the fans what they want because we know we can get money from the fans, then it would make complete sense that a lot of these rumors could potentially turn out to be true. Because yes, we are living constantly in ages of nostalgia, right? There's always a time in history where you're looking back and there's certain properties that are just, they're so hot right now, right? Where they just do well. I think that, hopping on 90s nostalgia, especially at this time when people that lived and grew up in the 90s are looking for content to be able to consume for themselves and for their kids, this very well could be a great way to do that. And as I've mentioned previously, a lot of DC fans would love to see a Batman Beyond brought to the big screen. And if you were to bring in heavy hitters like Michael Keaton to play the old man Batman character, and you were to have him first introduced in another film like Flashpoint, where you could then make that make sense and also tie in your entire worlds of DC image with your multiverse, and do it much better than what the hell the MCU has been doing at this point in time, you could set yourself up not only for the films being talked about here, but you could also set yourself up potentially for having a plethora of content, a plethora of films to come out not only in theaters when those open up eventually, but also, as it says there, for their struggling HBO Max service, which needs much more content. But anyway, what are your thoughts about this? Obviously, I threw a lot of rumors your way. Obviously, I think some of them have more likability than not. I would say Michael Keaton being brought on as Batman to me makes a little bit more sense than Ryan Reynolds coming back on as the Green Lantern. But crazier things have happened. If AT&T is thinking to themselves, Ryan Reynolds is a hot commodity, it doesn't matter if he's reprising a role that was terrible, most people still like Ryan Reynolds, and if we were to tell them, hey, guess what, guys, we're going to bring that version of it back, there is, even in the negative way, a sense of nostalgia for that performance in that way. They could actually potentially bring a lot more people back who want to just see him put the spandex back on and also see if he's going to make jokes about it, like he has already been doing as the character of Deadpool. One thing that could definitely help them in this process is by moving on from someone like Ezra Miller and trying to bring someone much more likable to the role who will commit to the character and just fit the role of Barry Allen that much better. And of course, all of this leading to Michael Keaton coming on as Batman and also being brought on to do the Batman Beyond storyline, I think could really work well for them. But what are your thoughts about all of these things? Let me know in the comments section below. If you like this video, smash that like button, hit that subscribe. It helps out a lot. You're all amazing and beautiful people. Have a wonderful day. And as always, God bless. And now a huge shout out to all of my June Patreon members: Albertus Magnus, Animation Commentator, Brian P., David Bobrizik, Dion, Divex, Enrique Evangelista, Father Christopher Miller, hail to you, Father, Frank the Tank and the Shawhan Wiener Dog Clan, Harold Francis, the Hunky Chunky Funky Monkey, Inflamed Wood, Intertrap Productions, Jason Clark, Jeffrey Toon, Kenneth Cameo, Lady T, Laura Story, Mad Mitch Dunaway, Mike Jackson, Mr. Peabody and his evil twin with the beautiful hair, Orange Hat Reviews, Outpost Dyer, Out of Step with Reality, Riff Magos, Rosetta Allen, Steve Glasker, Teresa Martin, Theodore Bendon, Tina Bojan, The DJD Show, and Tina B. And also to my Subscribe Star members: Edgardo Martinez, John B., Perpetual Punster, Robert Revo, Mr. Roy, Glinzer, G2 Cool 99, Dark Star 57, J. Alex McCarthy Jr., US 888209 Fast, Dean Heiss, Harold Francis, J. Rod, the Beer Guru, and also Nebanon G. Adams and ZK Man, and Jonathan Carney, and Jacob Juice. Thank you all so much for being a member of Patreon and Subscribestar. And seriously, it really does mean a lot. Helps keeps the light on, helps me able to do things like the giveaways for my $5 and up backers on Patreon and Subscribestar, and also be able to put more stuff into the actual channel itself, including upgrading different components, whether it be webcams, microphones, things like that. All of that helps to support it, and it really does mean a lot. So thank you all so very much. Please, if you want to have your name shouted out or look at any of the other perks, which include things like indeed having access to exclusive 4K digital giveaways every single month, and also an exclusive podcast hosted on Patreon and Subscribestar, and also YouTube memberships as well at the $10 and up level, featuring John the Flick Pig Flickinger. Please check all of those things out in the description of this video. You guys are all amazing and beautiful people. Have a wonderful day, and as always, God bless.